In this video, I'm going to show you how to use SellerAmp, including all of its features, and walk you through a complete guide. I'm also going to show you a couple of slept-on features that I don't think people use enough, and we'll show you how to use this in your business. If you're new here, I'm Chris Grant. I have been selling on Amazon for over 10 years, and I've been using SellerAmp for several years. Let's dive into the computer. Let's get a complete walkthrough of how you use this in 2025 to not only calculate your profits, but also be able to find profitable products in your Amazon business. So first thing let's talk about pricing. SellerAmp pricing is pretty straightforward. There are two different options available to you. There's the getting started. That's going to run you about $17 a month if you pay for the full year. If you do the getting serious, it's going to run you about $25 a month if you pay the full year. If you decide to pay monthly, it's just a little bit more, but this is easily overcome by finding one or two good products every single month and easily pay for an entire year worth of SellerAmp. Now, once you actually get over to a product page on a source, you can use SellerAmp over here as well. And SellerAmp allows you to do some really cool things. Number one, you can click on the extension and it's going to pop up and it's going to look for the item on Amazon via the title. And you can see here, it pulled Marvel Legends Superior Spider-Man action figure, and we've got a couple of options up here. This first one right here is available to us, which not 100% sure if it's a match, but we can open it up on Amazon. And then we've got this one down here, which I know is a match. We can scroll down and look at the image here, and we can see that those boxes match. And we can see what our max cost is. So this is the maximum cost that we can pay for this item to actually be profitable based on the filters that we've put into SellerAmp. For me, I put in $3 and 30% ROI, so my max cost is $43.95. I've got $31 into this, so I would be profitable at this $71. Now, I can always open this up into the web app as well and see a whole lot more information, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I can do a Google search for this product directly from a source site to see if there are any other sites where I might be able to find this a little bit cheaper to be able to make some more profit. And I can search for this product on Google Shopping as well. And then, of course, I can open up the Amazon product detail page and look at all of the information here. And I will get SellerAmp over to the right. And we'll get into that here in just a moment as well. So not only is this a Chrome extension that works on source sites, it's also a web app, and you get a phone app as well. So if you do retail arbitrage, you get all of this data. Now, when you're on the actual product detail page on Amazon, you get a ton of information here. The very first thing is you get kind of a quick box, and you can see the images right here, and you can scroll through those if you want to. You get to see the title of the product. You get to see the brand, what category it's in, how many ratings and reviews it has, and then you get the ASIN, and of course you can copy that ASIN so that you can use that in a Google Sheet or wherever else you might store some data. If you hover over these boxes here, you can see what the dimensions are, so you can figure out, are you going to merchant fulfill this yourself, or how much space is it going to take up in a box if you send it into FBA. You can also see all of the information in the product detail section. And then you can open up the Amazon product detail page, which we're already on. You can do a Google search. So if you're doing some reverse sourcing or you're doing some storefront stalking, you can open up products and you can do a Google search from there. And then we can open this up in the SellerAmp web app to see all of the information in a different manner. Okay. Next, we've got some quick info. It's going to let you know whether or not you're eligible to sell this. Unfortunately, I've been gated in Marvel recently, so I can't sell it. It's going to let you know pretty quickly, are there any IP issues? You're going to want to check Keepa to see if that's really the case, or you can check a tool like IP Alert. You can also see the BSR, 148,000. Does that meet your criteria? I've got mine set as the top 4%, so it does. They offer estimated sales. You can see there are 10 monthly estimated sales here. This is just an estimate. You're going to want to check Keepa and other tools to see if that's the case, see if it moves a little bit quicker or a little bit slower, as this is a really difficult number to get, but it is nice to see those estimates. You can see your max cost again, and then you can put in your cost price pretty quickly. So we know that our cost price was $30 and 99 cents over on Big Bad Toy Store. Big Bad Toy Store charges $4 flat rate shipping. So if we buy 4 units, we're going to throw another dollar on there. So you can actually do the math in here. We're going to put +1, hit enter, and we can see now we've got $31.99. But let's say that you also can get a discount, whether that's a coupon code, some sort of discounted gift card. Well, we can also do the math for those discounts as well. So let's say we get a 20% off discount gift card. We can multiply this by 0.80 and it will figure out what our discounted price is going to be. Or we can actually do another thing here as well. We can subtract 20% and hit enter, and it will do the exact same thing for us if we don't want to go back to that grade school math and figure things out there on our own. All right. Next, you've got your sale price in here. It should pull from the buy box, but you can also change this around. Let's just say that Keepa tells you that, the average price is actually $65, and I want to figure that, well, I'm probably going to sell this for the average price rather than what might be a little bit of an inflated price right now. Well, I'll go ahead and put in $65 and it'll let me know, am I still profitable in there as well? And of course, we can do math in here also. So we can multiply this by 0.8. So if we saw a 20% drop in the price down to $57.56, would it still be profitable? Well, sure enough, it is still profitable. We get to see a quick view of what our profit is, what our ROI, our margin is, and of course what our ROI is, and then we get to see what our break-even price is. And this allows us to kind of take some asymmetric bets, because what we can do here is we can say, all right, I can buy this for $31.99. Maybe I can sell this for $71 right now. I know the average price is $65. Well, what if there is some sort of black swan event? What if that price comes down? Where am I going to break even if people start to tank the price? Well, I can break even at $42.62. So I know what my basement is without taking any loss and being able to recoup all of my capital. And then we get to see the offers summary. And in the offer summary, we can see there are 6 total offers. There are 3 FBA offers and 3 MFers, or merchant fulfilled offers. And then next we get to see the ranks and prices. In the ranks and prices, we can see the current rank and price. Right now it's at 148,000. That matches our BSR box up here. The buy box is $71.95. Is Amazon on it? What is the lowest FBA seller on the listing? You can see that the lowest FBA seller is at $69.97, and there are 3 sellers at the moment. But the lowest offer is not getting the buy box. Just to give you a little bit of alpha there, you don't always have to be the lowest price to get that buy box. We can see the lowest FBM seller at $71.93, where I'm at in Central Florida. That's actually who's getting the buy box right now, rather than that lowest FBA seller. We can see how many Keepa BSR drops there are over the last 30 days. They've counted 10. That information is pulled directly from Keepa. We can also see how many net buy box price changes there have been. So has the price gone up or down? Well, there's been 2 buy box price changes. They've gone up over the last 30 days. There have been 11 increases, 9 decreases. That's pretty normal when it comes to pricing on Amazon. People are using repricers, moving that price up and down, trying to get a little buy box share while also being able to make as much money as possible. But this can give you a little bit of a trend of what is happening to that price over the last 30 days. You can also see that estimated sales number again, and then there's an estimated time to sale here. Now, you want to use this with caution. It is still in beta. It's not something that is going to be completely accurate, but they figure if you send in some units and have stock available, you're probably going to be able to sell within about 3 days. And then in the ranks and prices offer, you can also see when this data was last checked. This data was last checked 49 minutes ago, and it is still accurate and up to date. But you can always refresh that and get the most accurate, up-to-date information right there. All right. You can also see this for the average 30 days. So you see how that data changes just a little bit. You can see it over the average 90 days as well, and the average 180 days, and then the entire lifetime of this particular product. And as you scroll through this data, it'll give you a nice look at what's happening over time. Is this a fairly stable product? Is this product going up and down in price? Or are we seeing price trends come down? It can help you make much smarter decisions as you source. Next up, we've got the alerts panel. This alerts panel is going to let you know whether or not you're eligible to sell this. Of course, we can see that up in the quick info as well. And you've got a quick button there that will allow you to manually ungate this product. You always want to click on that. You always want to try to get ungated. Hope for the auto ungate. You can get ungated with invoices, receipts, things like that. It is a much more difficult process in 2025 than it has been throughout the years, but it is still possible if you want to do that. You can see whether this item is hazmat, whether it is dangerous goods. Those are two different things. Dangerous goods is something you can probably still sell as long as you are approved for the dangerous goods program. With FBA, you can definitely sell those FBM. There are just some things that you need to know, but I'll let you know whether or not this is dangerous goods. Has Amazon been on the buy box or ever shared the buy box? Well, Amazon's never been on the listing. Is this private label? And this will go in and tell you this is unlikely to be private label. There are other products where it may say, hey, you know what? This is likely to be private label. You're always going to want to double check, see what the history of sellers looks like on a particular listing. It'll give you an IP analysis. They believe that there are some IP issues suspected with Hasbro. Has there been in the past? Perhaps. And maybe they've seen that before. Maybe other marketplaces have seen it. But you always want to check the offer count and what's happening to see whether or not that is actually the case. You can see what size this is. It is standard size. Is this meltable? And are there variations? There are not variations, but we'll look at another listing later on with variations so we can look at the variation viewer. You also have the charts section here. This is going to give you, I have it set up for a 3-month view, but we can see the buy box history. We can see the sales rank history in the green. Buy box history is in pink. The FBM price history in blue and the FBA price history in that orange color. We can also see the offer count down in the bottom row, the rating and the review count as well. Always want to look at those offer counts, see if they're going up and down a little bit, just to make sure that things are selling through. That's a great way to be able to determine whether things are selling. And then, of course, we can open this chart in a new tab if we want to, and we can view this chart on Keepa if we want to as well, so that we can see even more data from Keepa if we want to dive a little bit deeper. We can move things around here, so we can move this back and forth if we want to see more data. We want to go back out a little bit further and see maybe, hey, what did this do last December? And there was no data last December, okay? We can also choose, do we want to look at a month? Do we want to look at 3 months? Do we want to look at a year? And then we can click on this little zoom button here, and we can actually zoom in to particular portions of the chart if we so choose. Then, of course, we can reset that to whatever we want to look at. All right, next up, we've got our profit calculator. You can see here, I can put in my cost price again. This will allow you to do math as well. So we'll do minus 20% and hit enter. It'll allow us to put that math in there. We'll divide this by 20%. And well, that was not correct, but get this back to $31.99. We can multiply it by 0.8 to get that 20% discount as well. Or just put in our regular price. I also see what our sales price is. I lowered that to $65 just to kind of match what that average sale price is. We can choose our fulfillment type. I've got FBA in there right now. We can move this to FBM and it will fill in your FBM cost that you put into your settings, but I use FBA. I also use 2 months of storage just to make sure that I'm covered for any costs or fees that may come from storage. And then we get to see what our profit is, $19.03, and we can actually see a breakdown. Our sale price of $65, what our cost price is, and then what our total fees are. It'll give us our ROI very granularly, down to 59.49%, and then what our maximum cost is, $39.24. And if we break this down here, it'll let us know based on our minimum ROI of 30%, our minimum profit of $3, which you don't have to follow that. It just gives you kind of a green thumbs up or a red thumbs down if you don't fit inside those parameters. And then it'll let us know our total fees. If you really want to know where your money is going and what yacht or the gas for Jeff Bezos's yacht you're paying for, you can see it here in the total fees. Your referral fee here is 15% for this particular category, so you're looking at $9.75. The fulfillment cost or the pick and pack fee is going to be $4.15. There's no closing fee. The estimated storage fee for 2 months is going to be 8 cents. Your prep fee, which you can add in here in the settings if you want to. I have 0 set in there right now. Also, your inbound shipping. I don't have any set in there currently because that's going to change for every person. Are you using any inbound placement? If you're using optimized shipments, you're not going to pay any inbound placement, but you can click on that button and you can change this to the partial shipment splits, or you can change this to the minimal shipment splits, and it will estimate what your inbound placement fees are going to be for you. I'm going to do minimal shipment splits. The maximum cost for this particular item would be 34 cents. That would be the shipment, that would be the inbound placement fee if this was going to the West Coast. East Coast seems to be a little bit less expensive. So as long as I can still make money with that inventory placement fee or inbound placement fee, I should be good. You can also input any miscellaneous fees. So if you wanted to put in 10 cents or 25 cents for a poly bag, for FNSKU stickers, for bubble wrap, anything like that, you can put that in your fees. And we'll go ahead, we'll make sure that we talk about that when we get to the settings as well. You can also put in a percentage of cost as your miscellaneous fees. Maybe you want to say that's going to cost you 2% of your buy cost to prep the product. Well, you can pop that in there as well. If you have any discounts, you can pop those in here and you can see discounts right here. If you're getting a 5% discount, a 10% discount, that'll show up there. It'll show you what your profit margin is. If I sell this for 65 and all of my fees are in here correctly, I will make a 28% profit margin on this particular product, which is pretty healthy. Our break-even sale price is $43.02 with those fees and things like that. So we know, hey, the lowest I can really go on this before I'm going to start losing any capital is going to be $43.02. And then you're going to see what your estimated Amazon payout is. So my estimated Amazon payout would be $51. That's at a sale price of 65 minus my referral fee, minus my fulfillment fee. And then I can put in here the quantity. Let's say that I am going to buy 3 of these because I don't know how many I really am going to be able to sell. This is not the fastest mover. I'll pop 3 in there, and then it's going to let me know. Here's what my cost is at $31.99. I'm going to be looking at $95.97. And actually, I need to make this 4 because that would get me down to the $1 per unit for flat rate shipping at a $4 flat rate shipping from Big Bad Toy Store. So my total cost on 4 units would be $127.96. If I can sell all of these at $65, I'm able to sell them for $260. And my total profit would be $74.76 based on the best case scenario, or maybe a little lower than best case scenario where I'm selling these for $65. I can also see any variations. There are not any variations on this particular listing, but we'll come back to that in another sheet here, in another example. Google Sheets. This one is incredibly important. You don't want to lose any of your data. Your data can be used later on down the road. You can build yourself a sourcing database that you can come back to time and time again, whether you're paying full price for a product, whether you're coming to a product and replenishing it at every single sale. But all we've got to do is click on one of these items right here. We can click on the SaaS by Sheet 1, the SaaS by Sheet 2, and this will take all of the data that we've put in, and it's going to put it into a Google Sheet for us. You can see here that we've got the date, we've got the product name, the image, the ASIN, etc., all of this data, so that we can see what we can do here. And then, of course, I left a space so that I can leave notes for myself. Maybe I've got a coupon code. Maybe I buy a discount gift card, something like that. We want to make sure that all of that information is saved. to be used later on down the road. And then, of course, this is one of the features right here, this notes and tag section. This, in my opinion, is one of the most important sections that you can have. All of your data is stored in the history of SellerAmp. So you can go back and look at your historical views, which I'll show you guys here in just a moment, and you'll be able to search through them. But you can add these notes and tags so that you can just choose these particular items. So maybe you put in a tag for a future lead. Maybe you put in a tag that it's a possible replen item. Maybe you put in a tag for Christmas or Halloween or back to school or any other thing where you might source on a regular basis. And if you tag every single item that you look at, maybe this doesn't quite make the cut and you've got a close but no cigar tag. Well, you can come back and you can source those items again and again and again using your SellerAmp history. You can also add in a little bit of a note here, and you can say, this is from Big Bad Toy Store, and they charge $4 flat rate shipping on all purchases. Must purchase a minimum of 4 units, right? And this lets me know, or anybody else on my team know, that, hey, this was found at Big Bad Toy Store. This item, they charge $4 flat rate shipping. You need to buy at least 4 units, so I get $1 per unit of shipping that I need to pay for, and that will be added in there. And then, of course, we can add in a secondary note. They're all time-stamped, etc. Next up, we've got discounts. If you know that you're going to be able to get a discount of 20%, you can pop that in there, and it will change that price for you automatically and put that discount in here for you. You can unclick that, and it will take that away. You could choose a 50% discount. You could choose a 3 for 2, whatever you want, just to make the math a little bit easier. And then, of course, we've got the offers section. In the offers section, it's going to let you know a few things. It's going to let you know who is on the listing at the moment, what sellers. It's going to let you know whether they're FBA or FBM. It's going to let you know their stock, their price, what the profit would be if you sold at their price, and what the ROI would be if you sold at their price. Okay. You can choose whether this is live, so it pulls all of them. Let's say something is out of stock. You can choose for it to be recent, and it will pull some data for you. I usually just use live, but we're going to look at another feature that is slept on, in my opinion, for some storefront stalking. You can also choose all offers or prime only offers. Maybe you only want to worry about FBA offers because that's what you're going to use. You're going to get that prime bump, or you want to see all offers. Now, the other thing you can do here is you can hover over and you can see who these sellers are. This is JHBE Products. They've got 658 reviews in total. They are using FBA, and we can click on this to actually pull up their storefront inside of SellerAmp. And what we can do here is we get to see a ton of data so that we can do some storefront stalking. We can see their seller name, their seller ID, their rating, their ASIN count. So they've got 763 products that we can stalk on their storefront right now and go out and find other winning products from this. This is known as rabbit trailing or storefront stalking. We can see the brands, their top brands, and how many products they actually have for each one of those brands. They're big on Yeti, big on Funko, big on Pokemon. We can see what categories they're in. They're currently big in toys and games and clothing, shoes, and jewelry. And then we can scroll down and actually look at all of the products that they have available. We can also click on any of these categories, any of these brands, and it will pull up just those particular items. So here's all of the toys. We could choose all of the clothing and shoes, whatever we want to do, or we could just click on their name and open up their storefront as well. Okay, so there's a ton of stuff to do here. Let's go back to toys and games. One of the other things we can do here is we get to see the actual item. The storefront price right now is $44.21 on this particular item. It's a $285,000 in BSR. That's top 4% in toys and games. We get to see the title, how many ratings and reviews there are, the ASIN, and the category. We also get to see the estimated monthly sales right here, the maximum cost that we could purchase this at based on the current buy box price of $43.56. We can also see how many FBA and FBM offers there are on this listing. There's currently 16 offers on this listing, and how many does this particular storefront have in stock of this listing. And then we can open this up in a new window, which is going to open this up in the web app so we can look at the product a little bit more. How's that buy box price doing? It's actually trending pretty good for the last 3 months, not crazy down and not bad over the last year. Over here, we get to see, we can do a Google search for this product. Where can we find it? Well, we can find that it's got Amazon, of course, up at the top. We've got a sponsored here for Sarugia.com. And then are there any other places? Well, we've got a GameStop, not a match. This is not a match, but we've got this one here at Kid Inn, Japan Figure, and then we can scroll down and see other options there as well. Don't buy from AliExpress. You'll get yourself in trouble. You can also do a Google shopping search. And then, of course, we can open this up on the Amazon product detail page if we want to dive a little bit deeper and maybe do some storefront stalking from even more storefronts, okay? Best thing to use this for is go down, see what kind of products look really good. You can look at a history chart right here, see what's happening to the prices, find the ones that are coming up in price, like this one right here. This Pokemon Trainer Trivia is going up in price. Can we make a profit at $45.80? And just do a quick Google search. Go out and see where we might be able to find this thing profitably. Looks like it's actually over on Amazon at $19.47, maybe on another listing. Sure enough, $19.47 right here. And there is a duplicate listing. It looks like this is what these folks are on, a duplicate listing for $45.80. That's actually a place where you might be able to buy it from Amazon, sell it back on Amazon, at least until Amazon merges those listings. All right. And that's how you use the storefront search on this particular item. You can also search products here. So let's say, for example, that you want to just pull the listings on their account that are Marvel. Well, we can do that. We're going to search for Marvel, and it's going to pull all of the Marvel products up here for us. Okay. And we can go through all of those. All right. Now, next up, we've got a few other things inside of SellerAmp that we can use. And then I'll show you how to actually go sourcing with this. This lookup details right here. This is a slept-on feature of SellerAmp. You can see every single time that you've looked up this product over the history of this listing. You can also put in the actual URL. That way, whenever you come back to this, you know exactly where to find this. Now, maybe I can find this at more than Big Bad Toy Store. I can put in multiple URLs, okay? So I'll go ahead and I'm going to grab this URL again. I'm going to save it again. And now I've got this in here multiple times. So I can go in, and when I check my lookup details or I look through the history and I pull up Marvel products, I pull up Spider-Man products, I no longer necessarily have to go out searching far and wide. I know these are the places I found it before. Can I buy it again without having to do that Google search? And we'll look at that here in just a moment, okay? Buy box analysis. This will give us a breakdown of who's had the buy box the most over the last 30, over the last 90, and over the last 180 days, and over the entire lifetime of the product. We can see that over the last 30 days, this Thomas Union has had a large share of the buy box. Now, we do need to remember that the buy box is not just something that is everywhere. It is a regional thing. And so this data tries to be as accurate as possible. However, there are regional buy boxes. There are times when a merchant fulfilled seller will get the buy box in your particular area, and that Thomas Union or another seller may have the buy box in another area, okay? But this also changes. You can see here that right now, this is pulling up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sellers on this listing, and we can sort these if we want to. So we can sort these by seller name. We can sort these by average price, by how much buy box percentage they've won, when they were last seen in the buy box, and what type of seller they are. Now, we're also going to go to the last 90 days here, and now we're going to see there's actually more storefronts, okay? And again, we can filter all of these, we can search through these, and we can choose what do we want to see. Well, I actually want to see what's their seller name, what was their average price, how often did they win, when did they last win, what is their stock level, and what type of seller are they. And then, of course, we can do some multiple sorting of these sellers if we want to, but I'm not really interested in that. Now, we go to 180 days and we'll see a few more sellers. You can see I can scroll down a little bit further, and we're going to sort this by when they were last won. Now, the reason that this is a bit slept on, actually, we'll go to all here as well, and you can see now I can go a little bit further, okay? The reason this is slept on is we can do two different types of storefront stalking. Number one, we can do the storefront stalking directly from the offers area. However, it is not a bad idea to look at previous sellers that were on a listing who may no longer be on it. If they were smart enough to be on this before everybody else, well, then they're probably smart enough to go and storefront stalk them. So we can open up Joyful Gestures, which is no longer on the listing, but they last won the buy box 7 days ago. And we can now storefront stalk them. They've got 412 units here. We can see all of the brands. We can see all their top categories. And then we can scroll through and see what kind of products they're on and whether or not we want to go out and try to find these profitably ourselves. All right. The buy box analysis is great if you want to see how much the buy box is rotating. Again, make sure to take that with a grain of salt. But it's even better to be able to storefront stalk sellers that you no longer see on a listing currently. And then finally, we've got some Seller Central things here. We can open up our Seller Central. We can click to add a product to our actual account. We can look at our own inventory, and we can check our orders inside of Seller Central. Now, there are a few other things that I wanted to talk about before we talk about actually sourcing from a website with SellerAmp. We've talked about storefront searching, and we've talked about the buy sheet. But if we come over here, you can see that I've pulled up my history section. In my history section, I have pulled up all of the Marvel items that I've looked at. And you're going to see, like this Marvel Spider-Man, it's tagged with future lead. Well, I can go in and I can search for anything. Maybe I want to search for Kendra Scott, which I saw on another storefront's listing. Well, I can search for Kendra Scott and I can pull up all of that information. It's going to take a moment to load, but once I actually pull these up, I'll be able to go in and look at any of my notes. I'll be able to go in and see where I searched those items from. You can see this item right here. So here we go. This item right here, Kendra Scott. Looks like we found this back on August 7th, and we did a Google search. And I can click on that. It's going to redirect me to the actual page, right? Sending me to Amazon. And then it's going to be able to pull up for me as well. And I'll be able to see any notes that I put in here. I'll be able to see any of the other data that I put in here. I'll be able to see where I may have found it at, etc. Okay. And see, I did a couple of Google searches for this, or that's where I came from when I was looking for this. It redirected me to Amazon. Okay. So great way to be able to look at some of your old products and never lose anything. Now, outside of this, we can get rid of that search parameter. We can also choose, let's say, future lead and click search. This will take a moment to load, and now we can pull up all of our future leads. So this one here, for example, is a future lead. We're going to open this up on Amazon, and we're going to open this up at Big Bad Toy Store, and we can see we've got this item right here. Is this still available at Big Bad Toy Store for purchase? It is. It's at $22.99 right now, and which is actually a little bit cheaper. So $22.99. But we've got $1 in there for our shipping cost if we buy 4 units, and the price has come to a point where it is not really profitable. It does make a little money, but it is not something that we would actually buy. So this can really minimize your time sourcing. All right. Now, last thing I want to look at before we go out and do some actual sourcing with SellerAmp is we're going to take a look at a listing with variations. And when there are variations, we get this variations tab right here. And in the variations tab, we can click this check button. When we click on that check button, we're going to be able to see a lot of different things. We're going to be able to see this review percents right here. And so this went back and it analyzed the last 10 reviews. And we can see that 50% of the last 10 reviews is this size 10. So that's obviously the most popular size, it's going to be size 10. Size 7 has got 2 reviews. Size 11 has 2 reviews. Size 9 has 1 review. We can also do the color. Well, the black on black has 70% of the reviews, and the black golden check has 3% of the reviews. There doesn't look to be any reviews for black and white or navy new. So now we can see, okay, if I can get the black on black colorway and I can grab these in a size 10 and I can do it profitably, chances are I'm going to have a pretty good opportunity to be able to sell through these without an issue. And then we can come down here. We can also see which particular variation. Size 10, the black on white is got 40% of those reviews. Size 11, the black on white has 20% of those reviews. So these are the two most popular variations on this particular listing. And it also lets us know how many variations there are at the moment. There are 27 variations. And you can use this data to make wise buying decisions. If we can grab this particular item for, how much is it? $18.97, $18.97. Are we going to be profitable? Yes, it looks like $6.13, a 30% ROI. Can we grab this in the most popular variation of the size 10 black on white? Well, yeah, it looks like we actually can. They've got size 10 available at the same price of $18.97, so we'd be good to go there, okay? And that's how you use this. Again, make sure to export all of your information to Google Sheets. Make sure to save your URLs so that when you come back to these things are nice and easy to find. Data is king in an Amazon business, and you want to make sure that you are never missing out on any of it. Now, I also want to show you how to actually source with SellerAmp. So when you're on a source site, you can go in here. You can just hit the SellerAmp app, and you'll be able to pull up all of the listings that are pulled up when you do a title search on Amazon. Now, you can also do one other thing that I forgot to mention. You can highlight a title, you can right click, and you can also do a SellerAmp search that way. So maybe you want to pull up just a particular portion. Maybe you want to pull up just a particular piece of a title or all of the title or something like that. And then one other cool thing you can do is when there is an image, you can hover over it, you can right click on it, and you can do a SellerAmp AI image search as well. And it will go out and do an image search for you on some listings, okay? You can see here, it pulled up that image search as well, and we've got those available to us, okay? Now, before we finish up, let's talk about the settings section. You are going to want to make sure to set up your settings correctly inside of SellerAmp. You can do that from here. You can also do that from inside your SellerAmp account on the internet or on the actual SellerAmp website. But you can set yourself a couple of profiles. So you can see here, I've set one up for a leads group. I've set one up for my own personal buying. You can set up to 5 different profiles. Maybe you're shipping to your home. Maybe you're shipping to a tax-free prep center. Maybe you're doing some sourcing for someone else and they have different criteria. You can set all of that up for it. Okay. Now, when I am editing, I can choose my marketplace. I am selling on Amazon.com. You can put in your merchant token or your seller ID so that you can see whether or not you have items in stock. You can put in your inbound FBA shipping. You're going to want to take a look at your previous inbound shipments and see what your inbound shipping cost is. I think somewhere between 60 and 80 cents per pound is pretty safe. Are you going to be using Amazon optimized splits for your inbound shipping? Are you going to be using partial or minimal shipment splits? You're going to want to choose which one you use. The only ones available in 2025 are optimized and minimal. Partial no longer exists. Do you need to use peak storage fees? Well, right now it's not Q4, so we don't. However, in Q4, you are going to want to make sure that's turned on so that you know you are using the correct fee information. We're in the US. You can enable Central European or CEP storage. I am not in Europe, so that doesn't account for me. You can put in our storage time, what our fulfillment is. I do FBA. If you're doing FBM, you can always change that around. And what about European fulfillment? Well, that doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to leave it on EFN for now. I don't need to be registered for value added tax or VAT because I'm also not in Europe. And then we can put in here what our buying criteria is. Minimum BSR of 0%, of course, maximum BSR of 4%, minimum profit $3, minimum ROI 30%. You want to change those around to whatever's good for you. I just use $3 and 30% just to show you. I will go less than that if it makes sense. But again, make sure that you know what you're doing when it comes to lower ROI, lower profit items. You can put in any additional costs like any prep fees, any miscellaneous fees you want to put in here, or miscellaneous fee percentages. And then your ranks, prices, and time frame. I like to put a 90-day average in here. I can always move that around myself. Same for the buy box analysis. I like to look at the 90-day average. And what is your FBM cost? Well, I just put in $8.99 as a placeholder, but you're always going to want to check and see what your cost may be if you're going to merchant fulfill some items. And then I've got a custom ROI calculation in here at 35%. In the miscellaneous section, I do want to see the top offers on search results. I also want to see Keepa on search results. You can geotag the store location if you're using the mobile app. And there is dark mode if you want to turn dark mode on. Just depends on what you're interested in. In the quick info, I want to show profit. I always want to know what that's going to be. I like to see the profit margin, the ROI, what my break-even price is so I can do some hedging my bets, and how many offers there are on a listing. In the charts, I want to see the price chart. I want to see the sold chart, the offers chart, and then I usually like to see 1 year in the chart time span. You can go further out if you want to, but a year usually gives us enough data. And then once that's all set up, you're going to want to check your SaaS panels and set these up the way that you want them. This is how I have mine set up: quick info on top, ranks and prices, alerts, charts, profit calculator, variations, Google Sheets, and then of course you're going to want to configure those. Notes and tags are discounts, offers, lookup details, buy box analysis, and Seller Central. You can also open up the Keepa chart directly inside of SellerAmp if you want to. If you want to know some eBay data, you can pull that in as well. European marketplaces, if you're selling over there. An ROI table, which I don't have turned on. I don't think it's necessary. VAT settings. If you have something like Arbisource or Arbitrage Hero, you can pop those in there, or Seller Toolkit. And then, of course, your geolocation if you want to turn that on. You can move these around any way that you want so that they are set up the way that you want them to be in there. So make sure they make sense to you. And then, of course, it will save automatically, and we can turn this off and pop it back on, and it will pull up all of the information for us just like we have. And you can notice that it does save the last buy cost that we put in there. All right. So that's your complete walkthrough. This is how you use SellerAmp in a bunch of different ways. There is also a mobile app. If you're out doing retail arbitrage, it looks exactly like the extension does. It's just on mobile, but you can scan products UPCs, you can type in product titles, and you can use their built-in AI image sourcing, which actually comes in really handy. There were some items that only had images rather than the actual product on the shelf. I was able to scan the picture they had on a shelf the other day, and it pulled back an exact match for me. So you're going to want to make sure to use that if you're going out and raiding some of your local stores for arbitrage. All right. That's the total walkthrough, guys. If you are interested in grabbing a 14-day free trial, that link is below. It is selleramp.com/OA challenge. You'll get a 14-day free trial, walk through everything, learn how to use this, make some money with it. And there's also a link down below for our private OAC Plus community. If you want a community to guide you along building your Amazon business, celebrating with you, helping you through problems, and giving you a ton of extra tools and resources to grow your business and be a better business owner. All right, guys, I'm Chris Grant. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial of SellerAmp. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer you in another video.